Life Audio.
Welcome to the Crosswalk Devotional. We're glad to have you listening with us. Today's topic is on trusting God to lead us to the thriving life we crave. We'll return with the devotional after a brief message from our sponsors. Flourishing Through Living Richly Toward God, written and read by Jennifer Slattery. So is the man who stores up treasures for himself and is not rich toward God. Luke 12:21. A few years ago, I endured a season so overwhelming, I temporarily lost hope things would get better. In my emotional gloom, I longed to quit all the activities through which I'd served Christ for nearly 3 decades. I wanted to find a job where I could show up, clock in and out, and perform tasks that didn't require mental or emotional energy. But I also strove to honor God, even in my pain, so I prayed. He directed me to the passage surrounding today's verse. Initially, I felt frustrated, assuming he was telling me to put on my praise face and return to serving him. I've since discovered, while he does want me to share his love through my gifts, being rich toward God goes deeper than volunteering, giving, and speaking truth. It's about allowing his Spirit to permeate our depths and letting him direct our steps and mold our thoughts. In short, God invited me to make much of him, trusting him to show me what that looked like in each moment, trusting that he knew what I needed in each moment. Like the man who stockpiled wealth, I had fallen into the trap of thinking I'd experience joy, security, and fulfillment through our culture's definition of life. Jesus told this parable in response to someone's request for help with an inheritance dispute. We know from God's interaction with 2 sisters in the Old Testament that he cares about fairness in these matters. We also know from numerous verses in Proverbs that he encourages us to make wise financial choices. Therefore, we can assume Jesus was addressing another matter. Perhaps the man prioritized the family estate over relationships. Regardless, seeing his heart, Jesus told a story about someone with more wealth than he knew what to do with. After some thought, the man said, "This is what I'll do. I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store my surplus of grain. And I'll say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry." Verses 18 through 19. Verse 20 states, "But God said to him, you fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself?" Jesus concluded the story with, "This is how it will be with whoever stores up things for themselves, but is not rich toward God." Verse 21. In other words, the man's wealth wasn't the problem. His obsession with it, with himself, and his complete disregard for the Lord left him spiritually bankrupt and apparently alone. Otherwise, I assume God would have stated in verse 20, "Then your children will get what you have prepared for yourself." The man stored up wealth, likely thinking this would bring him happiness, peace, security, and fulfillment. Then he decided to mentally disengage and spend the rest of his days on a permanent vacation. He was deceived into believing he could find life in material things and momentary pleasure. I'm reminded of the contrast Jesus described in John 10, verse 10, when he said, "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." This tells me that whenever I move from Jesus and resist his guidance, I'm simultaneously moving toward increased dysfunction, spiritual depletion, and death. Death of relationships, of true and lasting peace and joy, of every good and perfect gift Christ died to give me, and eventually an eternity spent separated from him. The converse occurs as I grow closer to him. Deepening our relationship through ongoing connection and trusting obedience, I experience full, or as some translations phrase it, abundant life. In the original Greek, the word Jesus used has the connotation of something that has excess all around, is more than enough, and exceeds one's expectations. This is like when someone fills a glass with refreshing ice water on a hot day and keeps pouring so the water overflows. Intersecting life and faith. The richer we are toward God, the more filled we become with all the things like joy, peace, and soul-deep fulfillment the foolish man thought he'd gain through storehouses of grain. When the devil says I'll find happiness through an exotic vacation or expensive home, I'll remember Jesus' promise to give me a life that overflows. When I struggle to prioritize my relationship with God above my career or bank account, that demonstrates I don't fully believe his promise or ability to fulfill it. I'll then view this as an invitation to experience the Lord more deeply so I can indeed taste and see that the Lord is good. Psalm 34:18. I'll recognize my faulty thinking as an opportunity for him to remove my spiritual blinders so that I can see him and life as they truly are. That's something Jesus loves to do. The one who died that we might live will lead us toward every spiritual blessing available through him. This is our most precious inheritance.
The Crosswalk Devotional is a production of Life Audio and Salem Media. If you liked what you heard today, please take a second to rate and review this podcast in your favorite podcast app so that more listeners like you can find the show. For more faith-filled, inspirational podcasts, visit us at lifeaudio.com.